Jess Thomas and Natalie Benson slumped in the seats of their van, which was parked far enough away from Natalie's house that they couldn't be seen from the inside. Natalie was smoking. She had given it up for the 4th time 6 weeks ago. £80 a week guaranteed and holiday pay? Natalie let out a scream. Bloody hell! I actually want to find the tart who left that earring and thump her for losing us our best job. Maybe she didn't know he was married. Oh, she knew. Before she'd met Dean, Natalie had spent 2 years with a man who turned out to have not one, but 2 families on the other side of Southampton. No single man keeps colour-coordinated scatter cushions on his bed. Neil Brewster does, Jess said. Neil Brewster's music collection is 67% Judy Garland, 33% Pet Shop Boys. They had cleaned together every weekday for 4 years, since back when the beachfront holiday park was part paradise, part building site. Back when the developers promised local families access to the swimming pool and assured everyone that a large upmarket development would bring benefits to their little seaside town, instead of sucking out what remained of its life. The faded moniker, Benson and Thomas Cleaning, was stencilled on the side of their white van. Natalie had added underneath, "A bit dirty. Can we help?" Until Jess pointed out that for 2 whole months, half the calls they had received had been nothing to do with cleaning. Nearly all their jobs were in the beachfront development now. Hardly anybody in town had the money or the inclination to hire a cleaner, except for the doctors, the solicitor, and the odd client like Mrs. Humphrey, whose arthritis had stopped her from doing it herself. It was a good job on the one hand. You could work for yourself, organise your own hours, pick and choose your clients for the most part. The downside, weirdly, was not the crappy clients, and there always was at least one crappy client, or that scrubbing someone else's toilet somehow left you feeling like you were 1 step lower on a ladder than you had planned to be. Jess didn't mind pulling lumps of hair out of other people's plug holes, or the fact that most people who rented holiday homes seemed to feel obliged to live like pigs for a week. What she didn't like was that you ended up finding out much more about other people's lives than you really wanted to. Jess could have told you about Mrs. Eldridge's secret shopping habit, the designer shoe receipts she stuffed into the bathroom bin, and the bags of unworn clothes in her wardrobe, the tags still firmly attached. She could tell you that Lena Thompson had been trying for a baby for 4 years and used 2 pregnancy tests a month. Rumour had it she left her tights on. She could tell you that Mr. Mitchell in the big house behind the church earned a 6-figure salary. He left his payslips on the hall table. Natalie swore he did it deliberately. And that his daughter smoked secretly in the bathroom and lined up all her cigarette butts in neat rows on the window ledge. If she was that way inclined, she could have pointed out the women who went out looking immaculate, hair faultless, nails polished, lightly spritzed with expensive scent, who thought nothing of leaving soiled knickers in full view on the floor, or the teenage boys whose stiff towels she didn't want to pick up without a pair of tongs. There were the couples who spent every night in separate beds, the wives insisting brightly when they asked her to change the spare room sheets that they'd had an awful lot of guests lately, the lavatories that required a gas mask and a HAZChem warning. And then, every now and then, you got a nice client like Lisa Ritter and popped over to vacuum her floors and came home with a whole load of knowledge you could really have done without.